Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To our beloved lecturer, Sir Shafiq Miswal, my fellow friends, hopefully you guys are in a healthy condition. So today my group are going to present about the next topic of SPS606 motor control, which is touch, proprioception and vision. First thing first, let me introduce my group members. Me myself as the first presenter, Muhammad Izuddin bin Nizam, followed by Muhammad Adam Afnan bin Abdullah, Ahmad Zaim bin Fazuri, and the last presenter, Muhammad Haikal bin Rozaino. So before we start our lesson, I would like to talk about the overview of this topic, which is touch and proprioception are included as the sense of our somatic sensory system, whereas vision is the sense that are associated with our visual sensory system. In this topic, we'll be focused on three important components of motor control, which is touch, proprioception and vision, because it is essential for all theories of motor control. It provides the information before the movement, during the movement and after the movement. We move to the first component. So touch is the detection of specific characteristics such as object, person and environment. For example, if we touch an object, so we know their shape, their size and their texture. So how can we detect this? We can detect this through a receptor called a tactile sensory receptor in our skin, which part of our somatosensory system. When we touch on something, mechanoreceptor will be activated to provide the CNS with information related to pain, temperature and movement. So there are 5 movements that influenced by tactile sensory information, which is movement accuracy, movement consistency, movement timing, movement force adjustment and movement distance estimation. So that's it, the first component, touch. We proceed to the second component, proprioception. So proprioception is the sensation and perception of limb, trunk, head position and movement. Proprioception is a sensory information that transmitted to the CNS about such movement characteristics, for example, direction, location in space, velocity and muscle activation. To let you guys easy to understand what is proprioception is, I'm going to do some demonstration here. So let's say if I let somebody to grab my hand and put it somewhere, so without my vision, I still can know where my hand is going, so it going upwards. Besides, we also can tell how fast the movement is, so either it going slower or faster. So that's proprioception. Next, what we have here is type of proprioceptors. We have muscles, tendon, ligament and joint. Actually, we have many proprioceptors, but we only talk about, to be more specific, muscle spindles, Golgi tendon organs and joint receptors. So the next presenter, Adam Afnan, will explain more about these 3 types of proprioceptors. So that's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
I will continue this presentation about proprioception. The first one is muscle spindles. Muscle spindles lie within the fiber of the most skeletal muscle and detect change in muscle length. They are specialized muscle fiber that contain a capsule with both of sensory receptor and muscle fiber. They also known as intrafusial fiber. spindles lies in the parallel with extrafusal muscle fiber and are attached directly to muscle tissue. These are type LA neurons which conduct nerve impulse very rapidly. Muscle spindles are the most important source of proprioceptive information about the limb movement characteristic of the position, direction and velocity as well as sense of effort. And the second one is Golgi tendon organ or the GTO. GTO lies in the skeletal muscle near the insertion of the tendon into the muscle. It consists of type LB neurons that detect change in the muscle tension. They respond to any tension that are created by the contracting muscle, to which it is attached and cause inhibition of the contracting muscle and release synergetic muscle, and that can be stimulate the motor neuron of the antagonistic muscle. The third one is joint receptor, a collection of various types of proprioceptor located in the joint capsule and ligament, which it respond to change in the force and rotation applied to the joint and detect change in the joint movement at extremely limit of the movement and position. So in the conclusion, spindle equal to length and GTO equal to tension. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, I am Ahmad Zaim bin the third presenter for this group. For my part, I'm going to talk about the method of investigating the role of the proprioception. There are two methods. The first one is the afferentation techniques, and the second one is proprioception altered. There are three deafferent techniques. The first one is surgical deafferentation. Afferent neural pathway associated with the movement of interest have been surgically severed or removed, but can still perform the skill, but the degree of movement position was notably less than it had been with proprioceptive feedback available. So no problem with accurate positioning, but problems reproducing the movement distance from the starting point. The second one is the afferentation due to sensory neuropathy. So basically, peripheral afferent nerve in various parts of the body are not functioning properly. It doesn't require surgery because use participants that already have a sensory neuropathy. In one experiment, the afferent patient and regular participants were tested on their ability to point with and without vision. Both the afferent and regular were able to be accurate with vision, but the afferent consistently undershot the target without. So without visual feedback, the afferent patient was not able to reproduce movement accurately to a specific location in space. So the third one is temporary deafferentation. It's called nerve block technique, which is inflate blood pressure cuff to create temporary disease of sensory nervous. Next, for proprioception altered, there are one technique, which is tendon vibration technique. It is a high-speed vibration of a tendon connected to a muscle that is an agonist in the movement of interest. This vibration distorts muscle spindle firing pattern, which leads to a distortion of proprioceptive feedback. Okay, next is the role of proprioception. People can carry out certain limb movement in absence of proprioceptive feedback. The timing synchrony between limbs is not influenced by lack of proprioception, but there are several distinct limitations to this capability. It's possible to identify the various roles of proprioceptive feedback in the control of human movement. The first one is movement accuracy. The influence of proprioception on movement accuracy appears to be due to the specific kinematic and kinetic feedback provided by the proprioceptors to the CNS. The feedback about limb displacement provides the basis for spatial position correction if there is a sufficient time to allow movement correction. Also, proprioceptive feedback about limb velocity and force influence movement distance accuracy. The second one is onset of motor command. Proprioceptive feedback influences the timing of the onset of motor command. For an example, in this study, they asked the participant to simultaneously extend an index finger and raise the opposite heel. So, when they responded to a sound, both of the participants reacted the same by initiating the finger extension first. However, when they did it at their own pace, the normal participant switched and did the heel first. And from this example, this shows that those who lack proprioception use CNS control, while normal people use proprioceptive feedback about heel movement to initiate the finger extension. Okay, to the third one is coordination control. So proprioceptions play a role in postural control, which is provide essential information to the CNS to enable a person to control upright stand posture in body-aware situation, and spatial temporal coupling between limbs and limb segment, which is when performing bimanual coordination tasks, influences the coupling between two limb segments of the same limb, such as the upper arm and forearm. That's all for me. So, to the next presenter.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Haikal. I am the last presenter of this group. Okay, and my topic is vision and motor control. Okay, first, vision is a preferred source of sensory information. Vision is come from the result of sensory receptor of the eyes that receiving and transmitting wavelength to visual cortex of the brain by sensory neuron, which is optic nerve. And then it is evident from everyday experience, which is for example, we use a dancer use his vision, which is vision to beginning to start doing dancing. And the evidence for research, which is the classic moving room experiment. Okay, then we go to the neurophysiology of vision. As you can see, this basic anatomy of the eye. First, cornea, iris, lens, sclera, aqueous humor, vitreous humor. Okay, this is the picture of the anatomy of the eye. Okay, then the neural component of the eye and vision, which is include for the retina includes rods, fovea centralis, conus, and optic disc. And for the optic nerve, its function is to transfer information from the retina to the brain's visual cortex, and then the information transmission from the eye of the brain, which is optic chiasm. Okay, then the technique for investigating the role of vision. It has two components, which is eye movement recording and event occlusion technique.
The first one, which is eye movement recording, it has three technique, which is track for visual vision, point of gaze, stop video on film at various time, and spectacle with liquid crystal lens. And for the event occlusion technique, the first one is must view on video or film of specific event of or characteristic. It can only do this with a movie because you have to know in advance what part you need to take out. For example, someone is kicking a penalty and the kick is the part of the action that is taken out. Okay, then the role of vision. Visions play various important role in the control of coordinate movement. And the first one, the role of vision, monocular versus binocular vision. Binocular vision is important for depth perception when three-dimensional features are involved in performance situation, which is reaching or grasping objects, walking through a cluttered pathway, stop a moving object. Okay, this is the differences between monocular and binocular. Okay, then the second one is central and peripheral vision. Okay, for the central vision, it is sometimes called foveal vision. It is middle 2 to 5 degree of visual field. It provides specific information to allow us to achieve action goals. Okay, for example, for reaching and grasping an object, it is specific characteristic into required to prepare, move, and to grasp the object, such as the size of the object. Okay, then the second example is for walking through a pathway, which is require a specific pathway info needed to stay on the pathway. Okay, then the peripheral vision. It detects info beyond the central vision limits. The peripheral vision has upper limit, typically 200 degree. It provides info about the environmental context and the moving of limbs. When we move through an environment, peripheral vision detects info by assessing optical flow patterns. Okay, for example, optical flow equals to ray of light that strike the retina. Okay, then the central and peripheral vision also consists two visual system, which is the first one is vision for perception and the second one is vision for action. Okay, for the first one is vision for perception. It is called central vision. Anatomically referred to as the ventral stream from visual cortex to temporal lobe. For fine analysis of a scene, for example, such as form and feature, typically available to consciousness. Okay, then the second one, which is the vision for action. It is also called peripheral vision. Anatomically referred to as the dorsal stream from visual cortex to posterior parietal lobe. Okay, for detecting special characteristics of a scene and guiding movement. It is typically not available to consciousness. Okay, the last one is perception action coupling. It is the visual perception of the object and the limb movement required to achieve the action goal. Okay, for the example, eye-hand coordination skill. It is a coupling of a perception event and an action. Some research has shown that spatial and temporal characteristics of limb movement occur together with specific spatial and temporal characteristics of eye movement. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.